The Survival Horror Corner.
Oh, this game is good as heck. You may not have heard of it, and that's a damn shame because Lone Survivor is easily one of the best survival horror games in the last 10 years, and it totally went right past me. Lone Survivor was released March 27th, 2012, now available on pretty much every console device you can think of, except the Xboxes. Bunch of losers. That's good news because this game is superb. Developed by Superflat Games and published by Curve Digital. Created by Jasper Byrne? Wait, I've seen that name before, but from where? Oh, that's right, he made a few tracks for other dope fucking 2D games. So you may have heard of this game, and you may have not. Almost everyone I talked to seemed to have very little to no knowledge about this game. How well known the game is though, I'm not too sure. I can tell you it is an extremely underappreciated gem in my head. It's like an actual traditional survival horror game. It's fucking crazy. Aside from a few remasters, I pretty much assumed that traditional survival horror was gone. Now I'll be honest, I bought this game in 2013, got stuck because I'm a fag and had to pick the hardest difficulty right off the bat, and never really touched it again until recently. I was sitting here thinking of games I could do next and
Lo and behold, what's this? Lone Survivor has remained unscathed on my dinky PS3 hard drive after all this time?
So naturally, I decided to pick up my shattered ego, tuck my sack between my legs, and start it over on normal. I'll go ahead and just say this now, I am a fucking goon for not finishing the first time I played it. You're probably a goon too, so don't get all holier than thou on me. This game is dope. Why didn't I finish it originally? So I managed to miss out on this gem for the better part of 2 years, and I really regret it. So before I really start to gush, let's talk about this a bit more objectively, and without likening it too much to another similar game. Now I wasn't joking when I said this game is literally a traditional survival horror game. This being a 2D game, dang controls aren't here. The controls are like the most accurate approximation of your survival horror games in a 2D format. Just the perfect level of stiffness in between each action that makes you have that small handicap that makes you feel just slightly less than in full control. The gameplay really fucking nails it though. Like, I started playing this and just waves of Silent Hill and Resident Evil flashed before my eyes. The combat is stiff but just usable enough to get you where you need. Like Dino Crisis, you can walk slowly while having your weapons drawn, aim up and down, you know, the works. Fuck, at one point I was really expecting to have my flashlight off affect my accuracy, and to be honest, I'm kinda disappointed it didn't. Enemies have weaker points you can shoot for extra damage, but usually going for that puts you in a precarious situation. On top of having the ability to fight enemies, you can take a more sneaky, non-lethal route in place of mastering the tank and whizzing around them, since you can see it's only got left or right. I think the stealth is handled pretty well. It's not super in-depth, but just complex enough to make it okay. All things considered, it feels welcome and developed enough to just not be there. I'll admit, it does kind of get tedious at times while backtracking through, having to wait for the thin men to slowly walk back and forth, just hosing along can feel really slow. The survival aspect is far more pronounced. The game is based in a devastated city after an outbreak. You have to find food, sleep properly, try not to die, all while keeping morale in check. Whew. Making food, strangely enough, is pretty in-depth and actually quite necessary to achieve the better endings. You have all kinds of certain pots, pans, and utensils that all age in the types of food and drink you can concoct. Backtracking is kept on the low. It can be a bit tedious at times, but nothing too major. And you have these magic mirrors that teleport you between your apartment and the last mirror you looked at. This is good for cutting down on time and a good way to strategize which routes to take to avoid the most encounters. To summarize, it really plays like a 2D Silent Hill. Even the pacing feels really similar. Comparing something to Silent Hill in my book is a huge compliment 9 times out of 10. Except for the controls in the first one. That is not. Now I'm about to burst at the seams waiting to talk about the good stuff. The game plays exactly how I'd imagine Silent Hill 2 on a Game Boy Advance would. But the gameplay's not the exciting part, it's the more creative bits that got me all riled up. Now I know there are Silent Hill fans out there that are tired of people acting like any Silent Hill game after 4 is trash. However you feel about those games, but I think we can all agree, none of them after 4 really felt like a Silent Hill game. This game is a full-force Silent Hill game that isn't even called Silent Hill. Oh yeah, if you haven't noticed yet, this game is heavily influenced by Silent Hill 2. It reeks of it. In a good way, of course. There are so many references to it, it's nuts, but we will get to that later. So with that said, get ready for lots of Silent Hill 2. The sprite work is really good considering the pretty low ass resolution. Now I'm torn on the choice of going so low res. One hand, I really think it makes it quite scarier because every odd looking thing is even more obscure, getting at your inner deep-seated fear of the unknown. But also kinda wish they'd maybe gone for a bit higher resolution. It's full of well done environments and enemies, but I think maybe a boost in the amount of pixels would have really added a lot. Now the enemies are damn good. They're original and have a very organic look to them. Now they're all kind of following the same general concept, weird fleshy monstrosities, but I really love the design of them. More common enemy types would have been really beneficial, but what is there is great. The music and sounds add so much to the game. The sound design is fucking fantastic. This is top tier pant shittery. It'll have your heart racing at all the right moments. I was a huge fan of Jasper's tracks in Hotline Miami, and this game is continuing with that and delivers some really fantastical tracks. Definitely has a Yamoko vibe, while still sounding different to stand strong on its own. The music is very fitting, while hitting all the right emotions at the right time. I think the music is good enough for even recreational listening. The art style, the sound, and the music all combine to make one hell of an atmosphere. The game has 2 major areas that you traverse through, the actual apartment complex and the city. Filled with all sorts of interesting rooms and imagery, exploring these areas feels exciting yet somewhat intimidating. Each area is excellently done and no area looks the same. Seriously, I keep coming back to it's just like Silent Hill 2, but it's managed to embody a lot of the same feelings. Oh, the atmosphere is fucking fantastic, and despite the actual, cartoonish art style that comes with such a low resolution, the game is genuinely scary. Now as for the story, it's kinda missing that psychological aspect found in Silent Hill 2. I mean, it tries, but ultimately drops the ball. That being said, the story is good and really hooks you. I'm about to spoil the whole game, and I think it's best to go into it without knowing all the details, so spoilers. Given a little insight as to your current situation, the world has collapsed after some vague outbreak. Our unnamed main character has managed to survive in an apartment. So starting off, you spend some time exploring the apartment complex and you come across some people having a bopping party. At a time like this, what the fuck are they thinking? Speaking with Benzito and Kenny really solidifies the weirdness of this whole getup. You meet Chie, who wants you to hand over her doll. Luckily, you found a ragged doll in the room next to you, which you promptly hand over to her and go outside to speak. After she offers your only means of protection, she just disappears. You enter back into the room and oh,
Fuck.
I hate to be this guy, but I told you so. So things are starting off kinda weird. With a giant monster blocking your path to the city, you have to find a way to get the elevator powered up and running.
Oh boy, I love basements.
During this time, you come across one of the other extraordinarily important optional characters, the director. One of the only 6 human... This is embarrassing. One of the only 6 human beings you come across. He's there to be a lot of things for you. A place for supplies, special items, optional side quests, and most importantly, a friend.
Let me play a sad song for you on the world's smallest violin.
You come across another strange entity named the White-Faced Man that, to be honest, is just there to say cryptic shit that I'm aware of. So after turning the power on and getting that pesky monster out of the way, we make it into the city. In the city ruins, we meet the remaining characters. Hank is a gun shop owner that believes he's been infected by the Thin Men. Near the hospital, we find a cat which can be fed cat food and later adopted into your home. The last 2 characters are actually only found through dreaming. The other portion being tossed in the mix are these interactive dreams. There's a relatively large focus on the dreams and the pills you find scattered around. green, blue, and red. These are the 3 types that'll all affect you differently. Taking a green pill will land you in a green dream. Here you meet the man who wears a box, a docile person that offers you insight, food, and batteries when in need. According to Jasper, the man who wears a box is supposed to represent the nurture aspect of the nature versus nurture debate. He often acts as moral support and is a representation of you's better half. The yin to Boxman's yang is the man in blue. Representing the nature side of the aspect, he's usually quite hostile and harsh. Enforcing the nature of his character, he gives you ammo. This all leads up to the finale, so you're finally about to escape from the city. Shit's already looking fishy and oh my fuck! So after killing the monster that makes the scariest noise, you find the director mortally wounded. As tears are falling from your eyes, he hands you a note with a code on it. There's only one place we haven't been yet: the hospital. This leads us to the end of the game where you acquire your earned ending. From what I've gathered, and I'm not saying it's fact, but the game is actually about a man in mental rehabilitation after the tragic loss of her. Who she is isn't exactly clear, but I think we can safely assume they were romantically involved. Or at least I'd like to think so, because I'm a fucking sap. Really, all you need to know is she's somebody important to the main character. The endgame stat says, days spent in treatment. Treating what, depression? Chie appears to be her mother, which is why every conversation with her is very uneasy. Whether or not the world we play in is supposed to be all a hallucination or just how the character sees his world is unclear. I can see arguments for both sides. There are a total of 5 endings, which is tracked at the bottom of the title screen. Much like Silent Hill 2, they're often based on how you play, but also have the more special endings that require certain objectives to be completed and key items to be had. There's a whole system devoted to your mental health, which becomes a huge factor for what ending you get. Do a lot of depraved shit. For example, give Hank drugs for ammo, kill everything, sleep like shit, eat gross and rotten foods, and do sadistic things will net you the red ending, which hints at your suicide. The standard blue ending, which you'll most likely achieve your first time through, is the more ambiguous one, where you confront the blue man from your dreams. Turns out, you're the blue man. You shoot him, it cuts to you and her sitting there looking over the city in a dreamlike state. The green and white endings, which are the more definitive ones, end up on a more upbeat note where you confront her on her deathbed. She tells you to move on. Good stuff. The yellow ending, which requires pretty much every other ending to have been achieved, can be obtained in 5 minutes. When you meet Chie at the party, give her that cat plush right away. This ending is just you moving on with life. The cat plush can be offered to everyone and needs to be for the good endings, but the first playthrough, Yu refuses to give it up, acting as his tether to the incident, preventing him from moving on. Overall, I think the story is good, but it could use some work. It's not Silent Hill 2 level, but it's close and it hits hard on the feels. It does have some subpar vagueness that I failed to see its purpose. That being said, you could slap Silent Hill Lone Survivor on it and I would have had no qualms with it bearing the name. It's truly deserving of it, and the best part is it doesn't have to latch onto it by namesake, like some other games. I just really love this game. It's Silent Hill 2 Light. Everything is executed just so well. If you really made me pick something bad to say about it, I just wish there was more. Like, I did not want to stop exploring this immaculately crafted world full of interesting characters and just really good dialogue. And without a doubt in my mind, I would pay double for this. Like, I bought it for like $12, I would easily pay $30 for it. And you can find it on like that one website where you get the Steam keys for dirt cheap for like $1.29. And that is without a doubt worth it. Really, if you haven't played this game, and you like Silent Hill 2 like any rational human being, please do it. It is 100% worth it. So, that's all I gotta say about it. Until next time, we get to the red steel of the Wii U. Maybe it's actually good?